Hello.
of the heart because she brings you the current. She brings you the current. Bring you the current. She's Candy the Bell. She brings you the current.
All right. My name is Kenda Bell, and I'm also known as the Joy Factor Mama. And I'm so excited to be doing something new. And when I say new, it's not so much new because I'm returning back from which I'm having my own Sankofa moment, but not going backwards, but I'm reflecting backwards to fly even more forward. So, my podcast, I'm going to have different segments. And when I talk about astrology, it's going to be called The Current because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the energies, the alchemy, the different aspects of what's happening right now. And I am a cultural sociologist. I am a metaphysical strategist. And I'm not so much about the person that's going to tell you what to do and how to do it. What I'm going to show you are the alchemy points that are available to all of us that are being maximized and catapulted by these once in our lifetime events that are happening right now in the stars. So everyone is their own best expert. That's how I see it. And the way that the world is really, art imitating life, or is it life interpreting art? We'll never know. But I like to look at current events, television shows, films, and trends to kind of understand what my sacred opportunities for growth are. And I'm excited to start sharing these things with others more um, openly. And one of my favorite movies, well, no, not my one of my favorite movies, but I'll say it's it's one of it's one of the movies that I really appreciate for the times that we're in. Wicked. Um, I love the whole perception of the other side of the story. That's for one. And this is not even to cast Glinda as like a villain, but she's a complex character nonetheless, because so is Elphaba. And the idea that they are really mirrors for us to look at ourselves during this time. And before I go any further, if you're not subscribed to me, why not subscribe? I have so much more to offer. This is like just a taste of the different things that I'm going to be sharing here through astrology. I'm going to allow myself to utilize all the tools that I've studied over the years, and that being sun and solar systems, archetypal energies, seasons, ritual, different aspects of indigenous healing and study through the Progressive Love Academy. Shout out to them. And my own personal study. It's time for all of us, not just me, but you in your own space, in your own place, to look at your genius and begin to use it. Um, and this month, the focus for the Sacred Joy Garden, which is a a system that I have created dealing with my 12 joy locks, and I have spliced it with astrology. And the month of July, we talked about power. And for me, this month is really going to be giving me alchemy points that I cannot ignore. And for anyone that is in my Sacred Joy Garden, or you don't have to join it, but I do offer cosmic alchemy reports, and they are spot on. Because what I do is I take your birth chart and I map it against the current planetary like alignments, and then I use AI to structure out what are your alchemy points for this given month or even a season for a particular goal, for healing, um, also to remap your understanding of your life. Just, and it's not about me telling you what to do, but it's more so I'm giving you extra information to utilize with your own genius. And that's why I love it, because for me it's helping me to grow and to learn more about my stuff. And I don't have to set down or let go of anything else that I've already studied, because everything serves to further. Everything, everything, everything does. And that's why when we look at Wicked, it is a sacred portal. It is a sacred portal. And the fact that most of us can see it for free right now with everything that's happening. And I know that the Wizard of Oz, there's been lots of breakdowns on that, and there's been brilliant breakdowns as well on Wicked. And we also know that Wicked for Good is coming out in November, to put I guess, a cap on it. And while I know that there are many people that saw the stage play, and I did not see the play, so I cannot speak on it. I've heard some people enjoy the stage play better for different reasons. I'm not certain, but everything that I am basing what I'm sharing is on the film adaptation of the stage play, because I think there are key elements that are shown in the film version that really give us an opportunity to look and to question the different things that we are observing at this time, and as well as how those things correlate to like astrology. So if you're into that, then let's go. I want to also share that there's others like me, and I hope that you will continue to feel comfortable in sharing your genius. I love the millennials are, for me, leading the way with reaching back and understanding that all of it is important. Our ancestral knowledge, our hoodoo. I am so proud that my daughter in love, Nyasha Williams, and I co authored a beautiful book called Saturday Magic, a hoodoo story to celebrate an aspect of African American, foundational Black American, whatever you choose to reference yourself, but the melanated people that live in North America, in the so called United States, the different um, aspects of culture that we developed in the beginning for survival, but also for thriving. And the idea that we need to start including them. The more that I get older, the more that I grow, the more I appreciate Zora Neale Hurston And I am getting braver to do what I do in the spirit of her, because she understood the value of scholarly study, as well as the reverence for the indigenous aspects of people of color in this country, in the Caribbean, the special magic, the special healing, the distinctive flavors that we have conjured and created for survival and healing and love and identity. She did not want us to forget that. She wanted us to appreciate that. And I'm loving how films like Sinners and other studies and books, such as Jambalaya, books like that, different content creators on YouTube, Substack, are unashamed to call it all and to be it all, because we can. So I just wanted to open that up. So if you would like your cosmic alchemy report, a personalized one, please contact me. I should have a bio wherever you're listening to this at. There should be a link to get one. Um, you will not regret it. I have great reviews. I just haven't had the opportunity to post them yet, but I will. So before I get into the movie, I really want to talk about um, the energy that we're under. I began my journey of creating alchemy reports for myself um, back in the maybe the fall of 2024 last year. Um, I've studied like astrology as a novice for years on and off. Like I said, along with other aspects of like astrology, bagua, like astrology, the seasons, etc. All these different tools. And one thing that I kept hearing was about Pluto, 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 Pluto in Aquarius. It's going to change things. All these big things, and how the United States was going to get this Pluto return. And so for me, I like to be prepared as best I can. So I started researching it, and I started tracking it, and then I was working with AI and doing different content and things, and I said, I wonder if I can create my own report for myself, because when I tell you Pluto and Capricorn from 2008 until 2024 was major for me. Pluto and Capricorn was like out of this world for me. Out of this world for me. Out of this world for me. In terms of jobs, I got laid off for the umpteenth time. I had to move back home with my mother. All different types of these storms and transitions. When I tell you, I felt like Jonah. Like everywhere I went, the boat would rock, and the company would start downsizing, or they would have. It was like, what is going on? And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Just so much transition and so many other things. But on the flip side, I also got married. Um, I survived breast cancer, and I continued to write. I began to study more. I began to understand myself in different ways aside from the Capricornian idea of systems and institutions and status. Because if you notice, towards the end of Pluto being in Capricorn, um, we saw the dismantling of so many systems, um, lots of scandals, lots of things. Hollywood, we saw, the Epstein things, began to percolate during that time. Towards the end of that era, we saw, of course, the Diddy being charged. We saw different people being quote unquote exposed. And one of the things that I always felt was that a lot of us were quote unquote shocked, but then in another breath, we always would say, well, we know that's what people do. We know, that's how you get ahead, all these different things. And so when we look at this energy that's in now, there's so many things that are happening right now that we as a collective, that we as a world cannot unsee. It's not, we cannot unsee certain things anymore. And with Pluto in Aquarius, is like a wrecking ball of like, what's that about? What's that about? And it's also deals with technology. So we're seeing a lot of AI things popping up, things that we thought were only fantasy. Some of these items are free. We're also, on the flip side, um, trying to figure out what's real and what's fake. Um, we're also seeing, especially Pluto in Aquarius, is revolution. It's just revolution. It's removing the quote unquote standards, the quote unquote institutions. What has been considered mainstays are being either reshifted or demolished altogether. And so when we look at that energy and we see for July all this activity, with it being a full moon in Capricorn, which was on July the 10th, and for a lot of us that was the last dissolving of agreements. Um, And when we say dissolving of those, it's not so much about you're cutting people off, but a lot of people renegotiated the way that they conceive contractual agreements, the way that we see ourselves as part of a system. It was it was around that time. I'm trying to remember. It's so much has been happening, but you know, um, we find out about there was a bombing and that was not authorized, all this confusion. So that's like, what's the truth, what is the lie? And then on July the 7th, moving forward, Uranus goes into Gemini. And so you already have Pluto the disruptor, right, is in Aquarius. And Aquarius is the revolutionary. It's the, I'm taking this data for the collective. I may be cold, but this is what has to be done. That's the energy. It may seem cold, but this has to be done. I cannot, Aquarius people, for the most part, and this is not me saying this all of them, but they have a hard time complying. They will comply for survival, but it's very miserable for them, and they will usually malfunction at some point. And when I say malfunction, I mean diarrhea of the mouth. I mean really just going like nuclear on people in a very intellectual way. It's not that they necessarily get violent, but it's not good for them. So, Alphaba clearly to me represents that Aquarius energy, the Aquarius energy in Wicked. And when we look at Galinda, but it's actually Glinda, and her conceptuality as a person, she's definitely Leo. That is Leo and Aquarius modality right there. When you look at Wicked with Alphaba and Glenda. That is Leo Aquarius dynamics all the way. And when we look at the current astrology with uh, Mercury being retrograde in Leo, it's really about looking at what your image is. And Glenda, definitely in this story, she's on her own journey of identity as well, and acceptance and compliance. And what does that mean for you? And for a lot of us, historically, we have complied mainly for survival. Oftentimes, when we think about compliance, silence, it begins out of survival. So, what we can we say that Glenda is a villain? On the surface, we can definitely say that, but she is about survival. This is all new to her. She doesn't know what it's like to not be liked. She doesn't know what it's like to make choices that are contrary. And what is the benefit for her long-term goals, for what she has planned for her life? What is that? To jump off that ledge with Elphaba, the idea of leaving the story that she had been told that she was supposed to have. Can we really judge her? I mean, we can judge, but for us, in the time that we're in, as we look at the news and we look at the different things that are happening in the world, this is giving us the opportunity to also look at what we stand for, our image, our story. Where are we being silent? Where are we co-opting our true selves for sense of love and appreciation and security? And when we look at Alphaba, again, like I said, that's Aquarius energy. For her, her story was she was always the quote unquote outcast. And for her, it's like to break free from a system that she never fit in anyway, and then to find out that it's a lie, that it's not even true. What is there left? What is there left? And there's other complexities with this just to begin, but this is only part one because I don't want to make it too long. But stick around because I'm going to do part two and continue, because we also have to talk about the wizard, because the wizard is not just a person, whether they're green or they're orange. It's not just a person. They are the representations, they are the symbols of a larger system, and there are ancestral codes and wisdom that are being unlocked right now that we can tap into because the stars are aligned. So thanks for listening. This is Kendra Bell. I'm also known as the Joy Factor Mama. And again, if you have not subscribed, make sure you do. And get a Cosmic Alchemy report. They are so amazing. And I'm going to tell you my personal story about it a little bit more in the next one. But thanks for listening. Bye.